live. It's 5:30. It's cold. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. Hello, everybody. Let me see if I can get Gwen in. There she is. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
I am doing great. It's Wednesday, 5:30, and I'm going to eat some ice cream.
Amazing. I love it. We like to say that you can just, eat ice cream for any meal of the day. Actually, upcoming month, I forget what day it is. It's in February, but it's ice cream for breakfast day. So everyone should know that.
Ice cream all day, but
There you go.
well, thank you so much for doing this. I'm so excited about my venture and obviously your guys' willingness to join my founder circle, obviously to help my subscribers. So
Yeah,
pumped.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, we have so much to talk about. I'm going to go diving into this. So, well, if anyone knows, I'm Pete from Great American Nosh. We focus on food, beer, and wine, content, education, appreciation, and obviously this is food, ice
Yeah.
cream. And I actually met Gwen and Katie probably 4 years ago,
At
5 years
least
ago.
probably four. I feel like four because that probably would have been when I moved to Boston. So,
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It was at it was some pitch event or something,
yeah.
and for me, it's like I don't really suffer from allergies. So for me, but it was all about ice cream. So I was like, oh, I got to try the ice cream. And
There you go. Yeah.
I was
Everyone loves
I was
ice cream. Universal
everyone was
language.
I was like, okay, let's go get some ice cream. And I was just floored by the taste of it. So ever since
Thank
then,
you.
I've kept in touch with Gwen and Katie as they've grown. Now they're in a lot of stores lately. I'm just amazed on how successful you guys have been. You guys have been doing this for
Thank
about
you.
6 years, right? Yeah, six
About because
years.
we started out, yeah, because we started out at the farmers market SOA in Boston, and that was
Yeah,
really even before we were doing this full time. This was really when it was on the side. So yeah, there were two
yeah.
whole summers we were doing it before we really kind of went for it full time and tried to get into stores. So yeah, about
Wow.
6 years. Yeah.
And then for folks who don't know their backgrounds, I'll talk. You can talk about the college connection, but
Sure.
Katie was an RN. Katie's an RN, and then you were working at L'Oreal for a long time.
Yep.
Looks like you were doing
Yeah.
a lot of great stuff for them. Um,
Yeah.
and then my background when it comes to ice cream is I worked at this place called Bergson's when I was 16 years old, scooping ice cream during the
Oh my
summer.
gosh, it's a great first job. I feel like that's one of my favorite things when people tell us that they're like, "Oh, when I was a kid, I used to work at this local ice cream shop." And I think it just kind of shows the universal love of ice cream and how nostalgic it is. Everyone has a memory of ice cream, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, for me, it was at the end of the summer. I didn't want to scoop any more ice cream because I was looking like Popeye with big, huge forearms, and
Yep. Just on one side.
yeah, my left arm was abnormally larger than my right.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, people making fun of me. I actually one little
Yeah.
story. I got caught. I got in trouble because when you're 16 and a boy, you're constantly hungry, and they let the employees eat, right? So
Yeah.
I decided to make myself a banana split. But I decided not to do a standard banana split. I decided to do a double banana split. And I made it in front of the entire, restaurant. I'm working my magic. I got the two scoops. I got, all kinds of, the fudge and the strawberry and the
Yeah.
pineapples. And I got this massive beast, and I'm content, right? So I take
Yeah.
it, and, I put it in the back and I start eating it. And my boss comes back and he starts yelling at me. He's like, "Don't you ever do that again." I'm like, "What?" I said, I'm entitled to have, food. It's part of my employment here." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Not a double banana split." And he goes,
Oh.
"Now I've got customers asking me to make that same Sunday."
See, but this was all leading up to where you are now. It was always going, you're creating, you're into
Yeah.
food. I feel like this was just, that was a stepping stone. We
Yeah,
should have
so the
known.
standard, yeah, you're right. The standard banana split wasn't good enough for me.
Yeah,
So,
it just was a portrayal of your love of food and creativity there.
mm,
So,
well, this is a good segue. So
yeah.
talk to me about how you and Katie met.
Yeah.
Obviously went to the same school together. So talk a little bit about that, and then we'll talk about the ice cream next. So.
Yeah, so Katie and I went to Villanova together. We were in the same sorority, which Katie always gets embarrassed if I say, but we have great friends there. So yeah, that's how we first met.
Hmm.
And Katie was at Villanova in the nursing school, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
and I was studying marketing. And so we, after school, we went on to our own careers. Katie was a pediatric ICU nurse at Boston
Mhm.
Children's Hospital and Georgetown Hospital. And then I worked in New York at L'Oreal. So that really kind of started my consumer packaged goods marketing career path. And it
Mm.
really opened up Katie's love of, um, you know, health and nutrition and she's always loved science. So the one thing that people should know about ice cream is it's not just everyone's favorite dessert, but it's a lot of chemistry. And
Mm.
so when she became lactose intolerant as a teenager, she found she either had to, go to really stigmatizing medicinal brands like Lactaid, or had to go
It's
to,
medicinal, all right. Yeah.
yeah, or had to go to, non-dairy alternatives that really just weren't the same as the premium ice cream she grew up loving. I mean, she's a New
Yeah.
Englander, so Brigham's and, Ben and Jerry's and all of those. And I grew up in a household where ice cream was a daily occurrence, even though I happen to not be lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
So because of her background in health science, she was like, I think I can make something better for myself. So she
Yeah.
took that kind of organic chemistry, health science background and started
Yeah.
developing the recipes. And it wasn't until we were at a little reunion for our college friends that she brought up the idea. And I thought it was so much fun. And I mean, just the idea that somebody wouldn't be able to enjoy ice cream to me was like a travesty. I was like, whoa, we need to fix this problem. And so that's kind of how we started working on it together. And that was gosh, we had that trip where we started first talking about it was in 2014.
Yeah. Wow. That's a long way away here from where we're talking. I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean, this must have been really exciting for you to to build a brand from scratch, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but definitely not without its challenges. I think when we met, were we Beckon yet, or were we
No,
still
you were
under?
minus the moo.
Yep.
Yep.
And so we started at the farmers market, and that was our farmers market brand
Yeah.
name. And, it's a very different thing at that point. We were really just trying to figure out, could we make the ice cream? Could we sell it? Would people want something like this product?
Yeah.
And so we weren't really thinking about yet how would this live on shelf and all of those things. And so when we started going into stores, that got really fun because then we were also, we knew more about our customer and about the product itself. So we could put that into the creation of the Beckon brand. And
Yeah.
Beckon, just like that, the idea of calling people back to real ice cream felt really authentic to what we were trying to do.
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember when you guys were minus the moo and then you rebranded and I'm like,
Yeah.
I was just getting comfortable with minus the moo.
Oh
I don't
yeah, we
think
just like to keep everyone on their toes.
that's right. That's right. Well, it's a learning process, and I'm personally going through this learning process like you guys did, where I had another name before this. It was North Shore Nosh, but it was very limiting, and nobody knew what North Shore was or what cuisine it was. So it's like I had to, pay some folks to help me out, and that's why I'm Great American Nosh now. So it's like I'm learning those, it's sometimes it's hard lessons to learn because you're just sort of wedded to the name, you're wedded to what you built and you're like, no, I don't want to change it. And it's like, it's sort of like you have to come around to that decision on your own volition sometimes. And I think I got
Yeah.
to that point when I'm like, you know what, let's do it, so.
But I think that's like one of the kind of beautiful things about the journey is that you take people, you're kind of introducing your baby to other people. You get feedback on it. And what
Yeah.
Katie and I used to say, we were like, well, it's really hard to change the baby's name when they're like in kindergarten rather than like when they're born. But at the same time, like it's something you're building to share with other people. So it's kind of fun and ultimately better to
Yeah.
get feedback and integrate what you learn and keep that thing evolving and changing. Because at the end of the day, a brand and a company is kind of like a person. They can like change and evolve over time. So yeah.
True. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And you're right. It's easy, it's better to do it at the early stages versus when you're a much mature company and people already, you have so many years behind you as that prior brand, and it's really hard. I think a lot of people don't really gravitate to that new brand right away. They're like, is
Yeah.
it the same thing? Is it, did you change your recipe? Did you do this? And it's like, so I get it.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the ice cream itself, because it's dairy full and lactose free.
Yes.
I know from my knowledge is folks who have problems with lactose intolerance is because they don't have lactase, which is the enzyme that
Yep,
breaks
exactly. Good job.
lactose. Right?
Yep.
I got that.
Yep.
Hey, right. So how, without sharing obviously trade secrets or proprietary stuff, tell me what makes this different than some of the other dairy-free, lactose-free ice creams out there. So
Sure. Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head with exactly the science behind it. So I always say I never knew this about people who are lactose intolerant. Yes, they're lactose intolerant, but really they're lactase deficient. Like that is kind of the starting point. So lactase is a digestive enzyme that we need to break down double sugars into single sugars. So lactose is a double sugar, but our bodies digest glucose and galactose, which are single sugars. So when the enzyme kind of cuts that bond, that's what it turns into. And
listen, more
so,
science,
yeah.
folks, Wednesday night.
Yeah, learning some science lessons.
Yeah.
Usually this comes from Katie, but this is me regurgitating the things that she taught me
Yep.
along the way.
Yep.
But ultimately what we do is kind of that process that your body would otherwise do. So we're adding in the lactase enzyme into our ice cream, and that is breaking apart that double sugar into single sugars ahead of being frozen. So
That's cool, because I remember when I asked
yeah.
you guys 4 years ago when I met you, that answer didn't come out because I think you just didn't want to share. But this is a good one. I like this one. No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, you got to figure out what can be stolen, what can't be stolen.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of, that piece of it, that's very much how lactose-free milk is made and other lactose-free dairy products. And so some people will ask me, they'll be like, oh, so you don't take out the lactose, you add something in. But because we're inherently changing lactose into two digestible single sugars, it really is removing the lactose entirely. It no longer exists. So that allows people to digest it easier. And the best part is that what really makes it different from, a lot of dairy-free options on the market that might be made from soy or almond or coconut milk, is that we're using the same ingredients as a traditional premium ice cream. So we're using milk, cream, pure cane sugar, egg yolks, because we're a French custard style ice cream. And then just adding the lactase to break that down. So you really do get the real thing.
Is it,
you don't have to compromise.
is it because of it's frozen? It doesn't, they don't offset each other before it goes into somebody's stomach? Is that how that works, or is it?
So we're really like breaking it down, ahead of it being frozen. So when it's in the liquid form.
Yeah. Okay, all right, got it. And then you freeze it, and then when people digest it, it's already, they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, okay. It's already in single sugar form.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm excited because and you guys have been rolling out some new flavors. I just saw those two. You just came out with some new ones. What were those two new flavors you had?
Yeah, in in 2020, we came out with a chocolate chip cookie dough and a cookies and sweet cream. So cookies and sweet cream is actually my new favorite. I love it so much. So I hope everyone will try that one.
Awesome. All right. Well,
what's your favorite flavor? Just in general.
When I first did it, I originally gravitated to the chocolate. And then I tried the espresso, and I really couldn't shake off of that for a while. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that was so good. And then the other day, I think you and I were going to hook up earlier, but I bought some chocolate chip, and that got wiped out without me knowing. So
That's a good sign.
I couldn't keep it for filming, so I'm like, okay. So I had to buy 3 new types. So I got my mint chip, right?
Nice,
I got the
awesome.
mint chip. And folks, they got this really cool thing. I just saw this little thing. See that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is
That's
that
our
your
little like
is that your
peel top.
handiwork? Is that your
Yep,
handiwork?
it is. It
Um,
is indeed. But we hope people will actually respond to that. One of the reasons we put that on, we were like, we want people to tell us what they think. So hopefully always DM us or tag us on Instagram. Love a
Yeah,
review.
yeah. So I'm gonna try that, and I'm gonna try this now. And
Awesome.
a little trick I learned when I was scooping ice cream is have a little thing of warm water in your scoop,
Oh, that is key.
just in case you don't have time to like take it out and let it sit for a while on the counter. So I already did a little bit of that. I haven't tried this yet, so I'm excited. This is
Yay.
yay! After scooping ice cream for the 3 summers, I became a connoisseur of certain flavors. So
There you
mm,
go. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you think. And then you also have to tell me what your favorite non-Beckon flavor is, because we're in development for our new flavors for next year. So we're
oh my
taking
goodness.
taking requests.
If I answer this, my kids are gonna skewer me. But all right, I'll let you know in a minute.
Okay,
That's good. You know
thank
what?
you.
Just because I've had other dairy-free, lactose-free ice cream. It tastes like they're missing something, and it's just horrible.
Yeah.
I always love the taste, and with the mint chip, you get that nice crunch, which
hmm
I think is so. I mean, it's that's I think what makes it. You know, it's
Yeah,
really
we
good.
use real chocolate chips, which a lot of times, not always in ice cream, are they, real chocolate. Sometimes they're like a liquid chip, or they have some type of like cocoa butter to make it softer. But we use real dark chocolate chips because dark chocolate is also lactose free.
Got it. And where do you guys do your manufacturing for all this?
In New England.
Mm, great, local.
Yep.
Good. All right, that's good, folks.
Thank you. I'm so glad you like it.
That was a good one. That was a good one. All right. Well, I had to get the espresso back. Okay. Well, I won't try that on camera because I already know what to do. All right. But I will do something interesting. So, because I film and I do production,
Yeah.
I have in front of me a little chocolate bourbon pecan pie
Oh my God,
that I
that
just
looks
made
so
for a
good.
video shoot. And I'm going to the plain Jane vanilla.
Love it.
The pie, okay?
I am so jealous because I love pie with our vanilla ice cream. I think that just pie and ice cream, what's better than that?
Oh, I know. And if I didn't have this thing warm, it would be like melting on the pie. But
That'd be so good.
I did that with a blueberry pie last week. So I figured I
Oh my
was
gosh.
double dipping by doing that again. But so this is a chocolate bourbon pie that I made for a shoot. We're gonna do a video release tomorrow.
Oh, amazing. With the recipe?
Yeah. We're gonna we basically we don't really flash it in graphics. We just really talk about what it is and how easy it is.
Yeah.
So this is kind of part of that video shoot.
I
So
love it.
mm,
Oh my gosh. I
this
want
is
to
like
try that one.
it's a Paula Deen recipe that I somewhat modified, but it still works. I
That
think
looks amazing.
the woman's got diabetes anyway, right? So it's really so
Wait,
we're
I have a
definitely.
question actually. So
Mhm.
that looks so delicious. I am
Mhm.
allergic to nuts. What could I use to still have that type of flavor profile, but without the nuts?
Mm.
Any crunch? Like, could I use like a seed, like sunflower seeds or anything like that? Or do I just have to deal?
Yeah, well, because these are pecan halves, right? So they're
Yeah.
much larger. So
hmm
it's like bigger and much bigger than mint chips, right? So these
Yeah,
would be bigger crunch. So I got to think of what could you stick in there that would. I mean, do you like the nut flavor or
I do. I just can't have it.
all right? I gotta think of something that would be a nice substitute. That's a good
Let me
question.
know because I'll make it.
Mm. Well, the way this recipe works is you lay out the pie crust
Hmm.
and you really lay out the pecans on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then you have this mixture we have, and then you just pour it on top of the nuts, and it sort of permeates, around the nuts and everything like that. So that way you're not mixing anything or anything like
Good.
that. So you're just sort of letting it permeate through it. So I gotta think of what would be it's gotta be, you just threw me a twister question.
I stumped ya. But as another one, if you're ever looking for something else kind of like bourbon pecan related, we have a recipe on our website, on our blog, on beckonicecream.com for a pumpkin cheesecake. And I made it, for me, nut-free and completely lactose-free. But the
Mhm.
original recipe, which we included on there, does have pecans in the crust. And you can also put bourbon in the cream cheese on top. And it is
Ooh.
so good. So
Oh,
you'll have to check that
wow.
out since you like pecan bourbon stuff.
I'm gonna have to try that. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
I gotta think of that recipe for the nut-free option. That's a really good idea. I was also thinking about bringing like a little thing of root beer and making a root beer float.
Can I tell you a secret? Have you ever had not your father's root beer? It's like it is an alcoholic root beer, so kind of fun. It's a little bit different. And I have had that with ice or vanilla, and it is very tasty. If you want like
Ooh.
an adult treat.
Yeah. Well, another thing I was going to do, but I just didn't have the time. But for this espresso, I used to make an espresso martini.
Oh, that would be so good.
Oh, I mean, talk about decadent. I mean, yeah, I
That
mean,
would be really good.
you're gonna be like, loading up the calories, but you better only have one. So it's
We
pretty
made a
good.
like an espresso martini affogato, so we didn't get to
Ooh.
incorporate it, but we did like a scoop on top once for our Thanksgiving event last year, and Carly
Hmm.
on our team was mixing them up. But I'm not allowed to make drinks anymore for any type of social media because I like to get a little too creative, but I don't have the instinct for that creativity, so I've been banned.
Yeah,
Every time I try to make them, I mess them up. So everyone's like, "Well, we'll handle that, Gwen. You can go elsewhere." I just enjoy them.
I always recommend about 3 or 4 test runs before you you, you show it to the world.
Probably wise.
Well, because obviously I've been doing this for a little bit, since 2019. I started doing videos and stuff,
Yeah.
and there's a few shows where I just was like, man, I should have done some practice on that one. Um, and then there was a couple where I just didn't pay attention, and I did, like there's stuff I do that like I've done it so much I can do it in my sleep,
Hmm.
and sometimes I've just got distracted, and then stuff burns, and it doesn't taste good, and you're like, I'm not telling people how to make this. It tastes like crap.
What is your favorite type of cuisine to make? And I guess too for the Beckon followers and Beckon community that's just meeting you now,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that they should know about you and can expect from
Well,
following you?
I'm actually, I'm glad. Great question, because I got peppered last night. The same kind of question. I wasn't really ready for it, but I was quick on my feet. So really, my focus for a lot of the food that I prepare, it's really a lot about comfort food.
Hmm.
I can gourmet it up with anybody. I'm not culinary trained. I'm an average amateur. I've been teaching myself how to cook for over 20 plus years, 25 years really. Um, I focus on really simple adaptations. I can't even say that.
Yeah.
Some
Tongue
certain
twister.
recipes that I have. Yeah, and it's sort of like I try to teach people like you don't have to have 25 ingredients to make something taste fantastic. You only need like 5 or 6, and
Yep.
focus on some key ingredients. And if you can't find an ingredient, you can swap it out for something else. That's where I focus a lot of my attention on, because I think a lot of people get terrified when they try to do something out of a book,
Hmm.
and you know, they got to go to Morocco to get a spice, and they got to go to, Western Mass to get some, pasture raised meat, and
Yeah.
things like that. It's like, no, I try to like, simplify for people. Like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You can make really wonderful meals for your family and your friends quickly and with minimal intervention. Really, you can.
Yeah.
And that's what I really focus on. Someone asked me like, what if I came to your house, what would you serve me? And I said, well, like I
Good
said,
question.
I can gourmet it up all the time. But honestly, we have a rotation of meals that are constant.
Hmm.
Um, and honestly, if I have somebody that's coming to my house for the first time, I'm going to serve them a nice roast chicken, with with
Lovely.
with homemade gravy. We do a roast potatoes. We always have a veggie, so typically some pan seared skillet type Brussels sprouts.
That's so
Really,
nice.
really kind of that's pure comfort food to me. And I honestly tell people like if you can make a roast chicken, you could pretty much do anything.
Yeah,
You really can.
absolutely. When you have the really high quality ingredients, and that's kind of one of Beckon's values too, so it's nice that it's aligned, is like the
Yeah.
real simple ingredients. I love that. And
Yeah.
my boyfriend and I always joke about how on our favorite things in the whole world is a baguette sandwich just with butter and cheese and ham. But if
Yep.
you have a great baguette and you have like really high quality cheese and the Kerrygold butter, then it's
Oh,
gonna be amazing. So it's
that
all
butter.
about the quality and simple ingredients.
That's
I'm
right.
with you.
And as you know, like sometimes you can't, not every meal is going to be this transcendent experience.
Right.
But if let's say you go out, you leave the office or leave the desk and you go out to lunch and you have some kind of simple sandwich or salad, but you're outside and you're on a bench and you're looking at nature, it somehow turns that lunch into something a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that's our tagline is really, eat, drink, savor. We focus on really savoring things a little bit more, considering what has happened.
Yeah.
For us, we've been cooking a lot more home. Obviously, had to, and a lot of
Yeah.
people have been forced to cook at home. They're not cooks themselves, and they're like, and I do some, one day a week I'm in Le Creuset in Somerville, and I'm, selling some high-end cookware, and the store's done fantastic.
Yeah.
People are, they're cooking bread in their Dutch ovens. They're using the skillets. Some people come in and like, I don't know how to cook. But I've had to cook.
Yeah.
You can't go to takeout because it sucks, or it's too expensive. Or DoorDash is charging me $100 for a pizza.
It's become such a nice activity too, and you get to spend time with, your family members.
Yeah.
I am not in full transparency. I am not a big cook, and I probably made that clear from the fact that I'm not even allowed to make cocktails. But my boyfriend is a cook, and I obviously am very passionate about food, consuming it. And so it's
Yeah.
been fun to be able to make it more of an activity. There's a little bit less pressure in that, I think. And we've made pasta, like homemade pasta,
Yeah.
and I'm sure mine turned out terrible, but it was about the process and having fun with that and then getting to
Yeah.
enjoy it together. So,
Well, that's the thing. Like I teach, it's like if I always have several elements of our meal, right? We have usually a protein, a starch, and veggie. And I always say, if you're going to experiment, just pick one element of the meal to experiment with. The other two, make sure they're like standards that you know how to do, right?
yeah.
So if that experiment fails miserably, at least you still have a meal, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's really, I think that's where people go wrong because they try to make this, 4 or 5 course meal, and they're so distracted by so many things going on at the same time, and they don't know how to time things when to take it out. It ends up being a disaster. And I always say, listen, it's great to experiment, have fun. You need to practice. I mean, it takes a while to learn some of this stuff, but if you can just have one item that if it fails, it fails. So what? It's not going to kill you. And
Yeah.
and it's right. You're right. It's fun to try it and see what works, see what doesn't work. I mean, honestly, there was a meal I made the other night, and my wife said, "quote Don't ever make that meal ever again." End quote.
At least it is now off the menu, but
It is officially off the menu, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Well, I always think as long as there is dessert ready and waiting, if
Yeah.
the dinner doesn't work out, I'll just dive right into there. I'll just
Yeah.
dive into the pint and that'll be dinner. So
Well, that's
that's
what my
also
kids,
my backup plan.
you know, that's the equalizer when you have kids and they don't want to. You know, I have two, and they're both picky
How old are
eaters,
they again?
18 and 16. So they they both have different tastes. You know, if I win over half the table, you know, with a meal, that's a victory.
Absolutely.
Sometimes where they're just, you know, just not liking what I'm serving, you're right. The dessert is like, that's the backstop. It's like, what's for
Yep.
dessert? It's like, oh. And then you immediately go charging the dessert because, you know, it's like, okay, well, at least we know that that's the savior of the meal.
But the
But then
best
with ice
part,
cream, though, ice cream comes around all the time. I'll tell you right now, that's one of the things that, you know, I haven't shaken it from them yet, but they're loving their ice cream. So,
love that. And just the fact that you guys are all together, even if it's, you know, they don't end up liking the dinner, they go to the dessert. It's like you're doing that together, and that's part of the fun of it. And that's why
yeah.
we love food so much. I mean, that's why we started Beckon, so more people could enjoy things together. So,
Well, that's right.
yeah.
You know, I think just you know, many years ago there really wasn't a lot of options for folks who had food allergies. There really wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm connected with the owners of Twist Bakery and Cafe. They're in Burlington and Millis. You know, they're basically nut-free, dairy-free, gluten-free. And
Awesome.
when they started, I don't know, 8 to 10 years ago, I was like one of their early taste testers for some of their food. Because I'm like, well, bring me extra gluten. I really don't care. But
Yeah.
you know, and I was like, this tastes good. This needs a little grainy. It's really about the taste for a lot of those. And then for those folks who go to that place to eat, at least the people that don't have the food allergies can have a meal with a
Yeah.
family member who's been suffering on the other side when they like drag this poor person that has allergies to like all this stuff that they can't eat. So it's
Exactly. Or you go to you're lactose intolerant, you go to the scoop shop and you can maybe have, like, if they have sorbet.
yeah,
That's really what used to happen to Katie when we were in college. We would go get ice cream on like study breaks. And sorry, she would always have
yeah,
to, um, you know, either not get anything or had to get the
yeah,
sorbet, and just that break in what something that's supposed to be a communal activity, the fact that there's that, I don't know, that level of exclusion, that's always nice when you can kind of break that apart and allow everybody to come together.
yeah. I mean, if you think about it, right, when you go out to dinner, that is like one of the biggest bummers. If there's a few people in the party that really can't or don't want to eat what's on the menu, and like everyone
Yeah.
else is like, well, we're gonna eat, you know, it's like, yeah, but now you're immediately causing some conflict.
Yeah.
You know, you're making the other people feel bad that they can't eat there, but it's like, you know, it's nice to be all inclusive for, you know, and you're right, we're all getting together a lot more around the dinner table, but you know,
Hmm.
more than we did, you know, over a year ago. You know, we used to get together maybe once or twice a week, but now it's like almost every meal we're getting together at the table because no one can go
Yeah.
out, no one can be boyfriends, no one can do their activities for the most part. So
Yeah.
it's definitely been definitely a changing environment for us, but you know, it's all for the better. I mean, we're getting to learn some new stuff. I'm cooking a lot more.
Yep.
Obviously, I love the new flavors. I love the
So good.
espresso. I'm pumped about all this because I don't have lactose intolerance, but I know when I eat ice cream, I get really full, like really bloated
Yeah.
almost. Not painful, not like, but it's
But
to the point where,
uncomfortable.
yeah, a little uncomfortable. And like, I love when I eat this ice cream. It's like I don't feel like crap afterwards. So it's sort of like,
Love that. We spread that word because I'm not lactose intolerant either, but that's one benefit I really get from it is, you know, not only can me and Katie enjoy it together, but
yeah,
also you just feel better afterwards. And I think that's, you know, it feels good to eat it, feels good to enjoy it with somebody, but you want to feel good afterwards as well. And so
mhm.
that's something we're really trying to, yeah, spread the message on. So
Well, that's awesome. Well, hopefully I can spread the message when obviously I'm ramping my business and just folks
yeah,
let you know, we just launched our subscription model. Now we're a real business. And as part of our subscription model, we have a lot of great vendors and partners who have offered to give our subscribers material discounts on their various products. So one of them is Beckon ice cream, and Katie and Gwen have been very kind to give my subscribers 20% off their order,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. And besides that, what we're offering our subscribers is if they're food and beverage entrepreneurs or they're other entrepreneurs and they want to post on our website, to do that, they can. So it's sort of like we're building it's all of an inclusive community of folks who want to share some savings, but also share the whole eat, drink, savor thing and, enjoy
Amazing.
some great food and beer and wine and other things. I mean, I do other things too, but those are the ones I'm focusing on.
Yeah.
As part of that crew, we have Chatham Candy Manor has offered some benefits. I have a friend, an old fraternity brother of mine, who started a barbecue sauce company.
Oh,
So
cool. What's that one called?
That one's called Bear Smoke Barbecue Sauce
Nice.
Company. They're in North Carolina. And then I have a little wellness option. I have an old work colleague of mine. She is now into CBD oil. So, why not, right? So,
yeah. Supporting all the small businesses too. And it's so nice when your community from different parts of your life. I know so many people who have started their own ventures and own businesses, so it's cool to support each other. So yeah, thank you for including us as part of this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really, I love your story. I really am just, you guys inspired me, and just how you just, 6 years you've been at this, and you're at a great spot now, but you're continuing to grow, continue to do some things, and and I love the entrepreneurial spirit, and obviously I took the chance to do this myself. And now I kind of know, I kind of knew from the other side, lending or servicing them as a lender, but now that I'm on the other side as an entrepreneur and going through this process, it's like we kind of all need to stick together a little bit.
Absolutely.
Little support group,
Yes.
I was saying the other day is like, I don't know what I don't know about some of this business stuff. And it's like, what? Insurance? Licenses? What?
Yeah. We wouldn't be anywhere without, really generous, kind people in the food and bev industry who gave us advice or, mentorship. We literally, when we started our company, we called random people or emailed the company's website and was like, hi, we love your product. We're starting a business, a small food business. Can we ask you some questions? And people were so incredibly generous with their time. And just the community at the farmers market that we started at, and the events like the one that I met you at. That's all of those different types of people are the only reason why we've made it this far. It's so important.
It is. And the one thing I wouldn't say I'm struggling with it, just more of I'm dealing with is that everyone's so giving when it comes to their advice.
Yeah. You can get mentor whiplash. That's what we call it.
Yeah, it's like I'm getting whipsawed. Yeah, whipsawed, well, you should do this. You should do that. You should do this. I'm like, if I listened to everything that everyone told me, I'd be a teller somewhere.
Yeah.
Doing this.
We had the same problem. It is I definitely feel that we had a really great advisor tell us that kind of think ahead to a very specific goal or where you want to be, kind of begin with the end in mind. Yep. And when you feel like you're feeling a little bit of whiplash, just think will that thing allow me to get to where I want to be, or, that next thing that I want to do. And that really helped Katie and I, because we felt the same way, where we were like, oh, someone wants to give us this great opportunity, but is it the right thing? And it can be really hard. And people have different opinions. And it might be different than what you have in mind for your business. So I don't know. I always found that to be such a helpful piece of advice. We're like, okay, well, it's okay to say no if that's, not what's going to get us to that end point that we want. So.
No, I agree. It's hard. It is hard to say no, because there are people that you trust and
admire. Yeah.
Admire them, and you're like, yeah, but that's not where I'm heading. That's not my target audience. That it's like I mean, the first year I was doing this, there were so many little avenues I went down, and I was like, that was stupid. I can't believe I did that. It was like, and then, it took me a year to kind of figure that out, and someone to kind of, like advisors, I have some advisors myself, and where they just, kind of simple. I like to simplify things sometimes because if I can overcomplicate it, and they simplified it to me, and it's like you got to do this and do that. And I'm like, you know what? That makes a lot more sense. I could run with that and see what happens. And then you do pivot, you do some different things, but you're not really wavering too far off of where you want to go, you know?
Yeah, you can detour, but just kind of stay on the Lanzier Highway.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. As long as you're moving forward, not
Yeah,
backwards.
come back to that. Yeah, definitely.
That's right. So wow. So I'm so excited. I didn't know if anyone had any questions. You probably have some followers on there as well. I didn't even look.
Well, I saw Katie join. Hey, Kate.
Hi. Good to see you again. My goodness. This is so much fun. My ice cream is melting. I got to get that in the freezer. But
Oh yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. And
yeah.
I'm so excited for you. And I'm also so excited for our followers to get to know you. And hopefully everyone out there should follow Great American Nosh and follow all the awesome things that they're doing.
That's right. And we're going to have a lot more fun stuff coming out. I got a whole bunch of ideas. That's the thing. So
Yep.
I'm glad. Awesome. The Great American Nosh. And so on behalf of everybody, thank you, Gwen, and thank you, Katie. And thank you, followers of Beckon Ice Cream, to be part of this broadcast, and obviously my followers as well. So hopefully we'll be talking to you soon, and we'll get to see you live in person. So
cannot wait for that to happen. So hopefully that'll happen soon. Fingers crossed.
All right. Well, so long.
Awesome.
Bye now.
See you later. Bye.
All right.